Everyone, and welcome back to our Facebook group. This morning we're delighted to have Laura Pattinson, who is a Key Stage 2 teacher based up in Cheshire, and she's going to give you some tips on how to juggle homeschooling.
Hi Laura, I'm very excited to have you here today, and very much looking forward to your tips on how to keep sane with juggling and working and doing it all. So thank you so much for joining us.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. I shall share.
So half term, Claire, juggling.
Oh, it's fine for me. Mine are all in their 20s. That's okay. I'm okay. I'm just helping with university assignments now. Way over my head.
I have a back screen, but yeah, my living room is a tent with lots of things in it at the moment. So my background is not that tidy.
And I was thinking your backgrounds look very nice.
Oh yeah, mine's a trendy office in Shoreditch.
Yeah, fabulous. Right, can you see that now?
Yes,
yeah, we've got that now. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'm a primary school teacher. I've been teaching primary for the last 4 years, but previous to that, I did my training in a secondary school and taught maths for a couple of years. So I have had experience with the older children and with kind of younger children as well. So yeah, here are just some top tips from kind of my end of how you might support your children and juggle homeschooling and also working from home as well. So first of all, I'd just say try and use your time wisely and think about your priorities. Because at the end of the day, we're in a very unique situation, which nobody has kind of been put in before, where you are juggling homeschooling, having your kids in the house while you also try and do your day job as well. So kind of don't put too much pressure on yourself. At the end of the day, you cannot and you will not be able to do everything to the standard that maybe you would like, and that's okay, and everybody is going to be kind of in that position as well. So really kind of like to get things down on paper and think about what is your priority with work. Maybe you've got a conference call or something that day that you think, right, that's a priority. I need to make sure, the kids are out the way for that, and I need to let them know, and kind of set boundaries for that as well, kind of with interrupting you maybe, or say, while you're on the phone, which can happen with kids about and things like that, does happen, but just try and have some kind of clear rules and boundaries in place for the children's, while you're working. And also thinking about what is a priority with your child's schoolwork. So is it kind of maths that they normally struggle with? And if it is, maybe making sure that you have a little section of time during the day where your main priority is helping them with that, because they struggle doing that on their own. Whereas actually their English, they're usually okay with and they can get on with by themselves. So kind of, making a priority about their schoolwork as well as with your work at home as well, I'd say is my first tip. I
think the thing I would take away from that, Laura, was don't put too much pressure on yourself. I think there's lots of mums and dads as well that are really are expecting so much of themselves and their children. And
it's just not possible, and you've got to give yourself a bit of wiggle room as well. You're not going to be able to get everything done. It's a really kind of unique situation that we're put in, so yeah, don't put too much pressure on yourselves. But I'd say trying to keep to a routine. I think it's an obvious one, but it's good to be reminded of, and I think especially now that it's half term, trying to towards the end of half term, maybe routines might slip a little bit, but then feeling a little bit maybe refreshed afterwards. And just, making sure you're getting up and getting dressed, making time for a good lunch, a good breakfast. A breakfast is a good way to maybe entice some children to get up and out of bed if you do a nice breakfast for them. And then, not feeling guilty for letting the children, they are not going to be doing schoolwork from 9 till 3, school hours. It's impossible. So just making sure that their work time is short, it's focused, and they've got kind of short bursts of like quality learning time rather than quantity. They don't need to be sat in front of their screens all day doing, you know, bits of work. Do organize breaks that they can have, and just try and keep it really like short and focused, because yeah, it is different to a classroom situation, and the children aren't going to be doing lessons for the whole hours of the normal school day, I assume. So,
Laura, I have a quick question there, because
yeah,
it's a personal, you know, it's related to me personally, but
yeah,
between lessons, do you allow them more screen time? Because when it's raining and I'm working, I find that time in between lessons, I'm filling it quite difficult. So I was wondering, and you know, my daughter luckily likes horrible history, so she watched something that's giving her some kind of education, but then you kind of feel the guilt about having all that screen time. So what's your suggestion with that?
Well, I'd suggest reading is one, you know, get them some books that they enjoy. And I know that can be hard for them to sit down and do that. I think if you've got other children as well, you know, getting the Lego out or the drawing, or, you know, just simple like playtime tasks that they can do without looking at a screen, and try and maybe, you know, plan it in a little bit so they can choose, or they can go off and play, maybe have a little play area where they can go and do it. And I know it is easier for them to sit in front of a screen and to have it, and you know, again, you can't feel guilty for doing that, as long as maybe you try and get out for a walk in the day and get some fresh air and some time, you know, away from the screen as well. But as you know from working if you're working 9 to 5, normally you are, you know, you're in front of a screen all the time as well, and it is hard to get away from that. But yeah, just having some other little activities. It doesn't need to be, I know you see things on Instagram and things where mums are doing all these lovely crafty things and you think, oh God, I can't do that. But it doesn't have to be like that. But just, you know, kids at school colouring and get some colours and some pencil, can spend hours drawing and things. You know, it doesn't need to be educational all the time.
That's good advice, because you do feel like you've done everything. We've built everything, we've coloured everything. You're running out of options by the end of lockdown. I think, we would have gone through all the games in the cupboard.
Oh, but let them get bored as well, you know, but then they might cause trouble somewhere else. But
children don't know how to get bored now. No, that's one thing which it's true. It's just, you know, they don't know how to get bored, and that's a really valid point. Let them get bored
and let them, you know, get bored. That's okay. You don't have to be entertaining them all the time. Kind of thing, but hopefully the weather will be getting nicer and they can play outside.
It's due to get better, isn't it? They can play in the garden,
which will be excellent. A little trick as well, or tip, is calendars, which definitely works well in my class in school, having a calendar, having it up on the board where the children can kind of cross off the days. And just at the moment, there's nothing to look forward to. You know, you haven't got holidays to look forward to or anything. So just making there be a little thing to look forward to. Maybe at the weekend, organise like a film and pizza night or something, and having pancake day in there where they can cross off and they can kind of each day look forward to something. I usually have it for like my half term and any, you know, key events and things that are going on, and have it on. Some kids like it on their desk so they can see, you know, what's coming up, and it just helps kind of put things in perspective and hopefully see that there are things to look forward to coming up as well, even if we're not quite sure what's happening in the world at the moment. You know, we'll still have Easter, we'll still have things that they can look forward to as well. So that's another tip.
I love this one. This is great, and it's just little things like hopefully very soon seeing the grandparents, and that would be a really lovely thing to tick off, because they miss them so much.
I know, and
friends and
so just the little things. I mean, I maybe wouldn't put in going back to school, because that could change, you know, and it might make them a little bit anxious, the fact that they're not sure when it is. But, you know, positive things that the kids can look forward to as well.
I'm going on mute because I do have both of them at home, so just to let you know, I'm coming in when I need to.
Yeah, no problem. again, and yeah, this is something that you've probably heard before, but it's just a little reminder, like create an inviting workspace. So let children have ownership over a little space. But, you know, it might be just at your kitchen table and you'll have to pack it away. But, you know, where they can maybe have their times tables out, they can maybe have their spellings, and they can make little posters and make it look pretty. But also somewhere where they know, right, that's where we work, and then I can go and I can play over there once I've done my lesson, then I can come back. You know, they don't need to be working all the time. Just short, kind of focused sections will make, you know, it more enjoyable, and the work that they produce much better as well. Okay.
It's amazing, Laura. Some of these things, they just seem so simple, don't they? But they obviously they make all the difference. Just having that divide between, this is study time, even if it's 20 minutes, and this is screen time, Lego time, campsite if you're in Liana's house, you know.
Exactly.
Simple but
having
effective.
that separation, definitely, because I think it's the same for adults as well. You know, the advice is, you know, you try and have
absolutely
a separate workplace, just so there's some sort of, because you're in the same environment all the time. Then praise and rewards, I think it's, you know, quite easy to get, I think, when you're with children all the time, but and in school, you know, there's reward systems, and the children, they do respond to it, and they do like to be praised, and they do like to know that they're doing a good job and that they're doing well. And actually, it is really hard, and you know, they're coping, they're managing, you know, it's the first time ever that they've had to kind of independently, without having their teacher or like a friend next to them that can help them with their work and stuff. So, you know, just reminding them of how much of a good job they are doing as well. So just noticing the behaviors and efforts that you want to see, and, you know, even if it's just small things that the children are doing that you think, you know, that's what I want to see more of, just noticing it and just commenting on it. Even creating a reward system together where they can work towards something, right? You know, if you focus for this half hour, then you'll get a marble in a jar, you know, just old school stuff that they can kind of work towards. It's really important to praise kind of efforts rather than ability. So them trying hard and trying hard with their presentation or their maths, especially if it's something that they struggle with normally, rather than, you know, them getting 10 out of 10 all the time or getting everything correct. And being quite specific with praise, so saying exactly what they have done well, rather than saying all the time, oh, well done, good job, you know, exactly right, oh, I really liked how you solved that problem because you did this kind of thing, and being really, you know, specific with the praise as well. And then, I know it can be hard. We've got kids, and if you've got teenagers as well, you know, and you can all sometimes get a bit moany and be like, oh, make sure you're doing this, make sure you're tidying up, make sure you do this, why haven't you done that, kind of thing. And just just think about the words that you're saying, and try and praise more than criticize. It's quite easy to get into a habit of, you know, of saying, oh, why haven't you done that, and things. So just, try and turn a positive spin on things, I'd say, as well.
I think with teenagers, it's very easy to slip into that, just constantly on their case. I mean, you know, and it's the rooms and the work and the, I don't know, chores and all sorts of things. But I know, very easy to slip into that. Yeah,
and it is, and it's stressful. But again, they're going through, you know, a difficult period. They're not seeing their friends. They're not, and you know, and it can probably seem a little bit distant to them sometimes, and you know that they're not doing things right, but just. Make sure you still, even with teenagers, I taught at high school and they still loved stickers and things, you know, you think they think they're too old for them, but actually they like it, you know, they do like a bit of praise and stuff. So remembering to do it with your teenagers as well, I think is a good point. And then encourage independence. So logins and technology, I know it can be really difficult, making sure that the kids have their own logins. You know, if they get logged out, they can kind of log themselves back in, and it might take 15 minutes to teach them how to get onto the app and how to do everything, but once you've done that once, hopefully they can then, you know, do it themselves and be a bit more self-sufficient. like alternative work. So this is another thing about screen time, I think, that Liana was saying. If you feel like they're having too much screen time, you can, on Amazon and things, you can get different workbooks that they can do and that they can mostly do independently. And they like working through the books and completing the pages and stuff, usually, I find, with the children. And actually, a little tip is to maybe even get the book from, if they're, you know, if they're struggling keeping up with the work, you could even get, if they're in year 4, get the year 3 book, because they will have missed some of the year 3 stuff, and it's revision of what they've already done. And actually they should be able to do it themselves without your or the teacher's input. So, you know, and there's apps and things if you have got screen time as well. And then also going through some stuck strategies with the children. If they do get stuck and they're unsure of what to do, what strategies can they use themselves independently without going to you all the time and saying, mum, what should I do? I don't know how to do this, you know, and going through, right, actually, if you can't do anything, jot down a question and you can ask me when I'm off the phone, or try something different, or just have a go. And, you know, if you make a mistake, that's okay. And even call a friend, I thought, was a good one, you know, because they're usually working together with their peers. So maybe they could call a friend and work through it with a friend instead of working through it with an adult.
It's like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yeah, exactly.
That's really good advice. It's just something so simple, again, as Claire said, just having that conversation and saying, jot it down and then just ask me when I'm off the phone, because they're so excited to tell you something when it just happens. And when you don't turn around and immediately give that attention, you feel like you let them down in some way, because, you know, they just run in with just wanting your attention just at that moment. But of course, if you talk it through them, not with my 4-year-old, forget that. I mean, she
depends how
my 4 and 8, but my 8-year-old would take that on board. She would wait and then ask me after the phone call, and I think she's getting better at it, and she's like, oh, we need to leave, mummy, and she tells my 4-year-old, but there's always that
that, I suppose that is a good thing about having, you know, 2, although it's more to juggle, isn't it? At least hopefully the older ones can a little bit as well, and using that and kind of set time expectations. All right, while I'm on the phone, I want you to have completed this page, or, you know, and just setting expectations for children as well. This is a big one, I think. Kind of don't feel pressured for perfection. Just do as much as you can. If the workload is too much, you just prioritize. Like, think about the important things for you and your family. Every family is different. Which comes to my second point, kind of don't compare yourself to other families that you might see on social media, or, you know, chat to and be like, oh, we've done all this, blah, blah, blah. And you think, every child is different at the end of the day as well. So do not compare yourselves. And your teacher knows what your child is like as well. So, it's no surprise, or so don't kind of worry about that. Because as I've put here, teachers really appreciate your support in helping the children to achieve their best, and it is kind of greatly appreciated that they're able to get one-to-one support, you know, which they don't always get in class, which is, you know, excellent for them. But they know it can't be all the time, and all the bits of work that they upload doesn't have to be perfect, and that's okay, and they know that they're going to have to work independently sometimes and things. So don't feel pressured for every piece of work for you to check over and it to be absolutely perfect or anything like that, I'd say as well. My next one, and just kind of a reminder just about your child's mental health. Just be kind to yourself. A good way to do that is to keep healthy and active, making sure you're having kind of healthy lunches, healthy breakfast, and get out for some fresh air in the day if you can. Take breaks. List kind of the positive things about being maybe in lockdown might be a nice idea, and try and think of the positives that you are getting to spend more time together. And there is a light at the end, hopefully, soonish.
Hopefully soon, hopefully.
yeah, kind of keep in touch with your friends and your family through, you can FaceTime and things. And if you can, take a break from social media and kind of technology and things as well. But sometimes that can be even tricky, you know, trickier to do, but it is important to step away at some point as well. So yeah, that leads me kind of to the end, which is communicating, and kind of don't let a bad day turn into a bad week. If you're struggling, make sure you talk to somebody. If you're really struggling with your workload, hopefully your employer is quite understanding and you can speak to them and say, right, I'm really struggling in the daytime, but actually I can work a little bit earlier, you know, before the kids, and get some work done then. You know, I think employers are understanding, and they've probably got kids themselves, and, you know, so hopefully they will be able to be a little bit flexible, but they might not say unless you come to them. So it is really important to talk.
I think sometimes we're afraid to ask because we think somebody might say no, but if you don't ask, whatever it is, then people will assume you're okay.
And it's not going to happen if you don't ask. And actually, you can talk to other colleagues as well, and they're probably going through, you know, exactly the same thing, and have probably got tips and things for you. And I think that's why this Facebook group is, you know, this group is such a good idea, because it kind of brings people together, doesn't it? Are in the same situation.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to sort of juggle, our work, that work-life balance, but with the added pressure of homeschooling, and obviously it's not just mums, it's lots of dads as well.
Any parents.
I think it's the communication. I think you know, out of watching this, it just reminds you to communicate more, and just taking that time, maybe in the morning just before the day starts, to go through what needs to be done that day, what's important to commit to get through, and then giving that time. That's you know, that time is a time without phones, because again, as you said, it's us as well. We're always on our phones, we're always on our devices too, and it's just there's so much to do that you just don't get that quality time unless you really set it in stone and maybe put it in the calendar, and that's your mummy and time. So and then talk with other parents, talk to your school or teacher, you know, if you're struggling, if you say, oh right, Tuesday's a really bad day for me, you know, because I've always got this on, you know, and just instead of feeling guilty about it, just let the teacher know, and just kind of, you know, so if you're feeling like stressed. And then also make sure you talk with your children as well, and they're going to have bad days, and they're going to have meltdowns, and they're going to have you know, feel stressed and upset, and probably they might not even know why they're feeling that way. But a good way is saying kind of, all right, I can see that you're feeling maybe sad or upset or frustrated, and kind of, why do you think, and talking it through with them, why do you think that is, what do you think might help, and, you know, being really open with your children as well is a good tip, I'd say.
That's really, really good advice. Laura, thank you so much for that presentation. That's absolutely fantastic, and I'm sure the group will love it. So thank you very much indeed.
No, that's fine. Thank
Laura. That's a really good way to start the day.
Go in focus now,
especially half term.
It's
like a little bit of ammunition.
There's no break, is there? There's no break for you at home. Hopefully that some people have found some use in that. I'm
sure they will.
I'm sure they will. Thank you so much. Bye.
All right, then.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.